Hi everybody, welcome to my session. Thank you for joining. My name is Mark Stokes and I'm Microsoft MVP for SharePoint Servers and Services. What I'm going to be talking about today is PowerApps. What I want to do is show you just how easy it is to create a modern business application using PowerApps versus going a native or a HTML5 route. You may notice that this is not a video of me. This is actually my virtual reality self. So I'm actually presenting this session from Facebook Spaces, just to see how easy it is to actually work and present from a virtual reality environment. So quite excited. So hopefully it doesn't bring any issues itself. So first of all, let's just jump straight in. And what I want to do is show you the application we're going to be building. What we're going to do is build a lone worker application. The intention here is for an employee who goes out of the business. They don't work, they're not operating in their normal office location. They may be going out to see clients or maybe going out to see people that they need in the community. And what they need to do is they need to be able to check in, check out, so that the office knows that they're safe and nothing's gone wrong. Also give them the ability to actually hit a panic button, so if they find themselves in trouble, they can send an alert back to base very easily. So a couple of things that we want to focus on here. First of all, give them the ability to easily hit a panic button, make that discreet as well, so that if they are with somebody, they don't know that's been hit. Also the ability to check in, check out, and maybe the ability to acknowledge that they're actually on a shift at the moment. And if they're on a shift, there might be a countdown timer to when their next check-in is due. When they check in, they need to enter a PIN number, and we actually give them the ability to enter a under duress PIN. So if somebody is forcing them to check in, they can actually enter a different PIN number to say that actually they're checking in under duress. And then again, the office is going to send some help out to them. We also want to track their geographical location as well, so we actually know where they are when they check in. If we're going to build this with a native application, I think we'll pretty much be looking around about a 10, 15, 20-day job, but I want to show you how we can build it in hopefully as close to an hour as possible. So if we have some time at the end, we might bring some Microsoft Flow in. We'll see how we do. So here's an example of the application. Obviously, it's showing on my screen at the moment. It will be represented exactly the same in a mobile phone. So what we have here is we have the ability to mark whether the user's on shift or not, so they can actually mark themselves as on shift or not. We can go and view their previous check-ins. So this will bring up a list of all of the check-ins that I've had previously. I can go and click on one as well, and I can get more details on that. So it gives me a nice little Google map up there. Also tells me the type and the date and time. So if I click back, what I can do now is I can go check in. Again, it gives me my Google map, and I can choose whether I want to check in of an appointment, check out of an appointment, or send a panic. At this point, I want to check in. I'll enter my PIN number 1234 and hit submit, and that goes off and just saves it back to SharePoint. If I go back into my check-ins now, we can see that we should have my new check-in. Okay, that may not have loaded through just yet. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and build this. So the first thing that we actually need is we need a SharePoint site and we need a SharePoint list or a view list. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through, I'm going to create some different SharePoint lists to manage all of our data, and I may actually speed up the video a little bit when I do this because it can take a little while typing in virtual reality. So I'm going to need a couple of lists. I'm going to need a check-ins list, so the ability to store the actual check-ins that a user gives. The fields on that are going to be simple. That'll be a title, a longitude, a latitude, an altitude, and a PIN number. And that's all we need to know when somebody actually checks in. And then what we'll do is have a list for check-in types. So that'll be a lookup list, and that'll allow us to store our check-in, check-out, and panic values. So then we can give different types of check-in if we want to. And then we'll create a list of lone workers, so the people in the business who are actually the lone workers. So that list will contain, again, a title, because every list has to have a title. We'll also put a person field in there. We'll also store their PIN number in there. We'll also store their duress PIN. So again, we can identify if they put their duress PIN in. There'll be a yes/no field about whether they are on shift. And we'll also record their last check-in and have a calculated column that specifies when their next check-in is due. Now, people may need to check in at different principles. So what we might need to do is have a different check-in frequency. So we'll store check-in frequency in a unit. So we can then specify for that particular loan worker whether they should check in every hour, every 30 minutes, every day, etc., etc. So then the calculator column for next check-in will be the previous check-in plus the unit of when they need to check in next. Okay, so I will go ahead and I will create those lists now. Okay, great. So now we've got all of our lists created. As you can imagine, it takes a little bit longer to do that within virtual reality than it does on the actual desktop. So maybe it's something you want to do for maximum productivity. But as we can see here, we have all of the lists now created that we need, just down there. So we can go ahead and start looking at our actual Power App. Oh, actually, first thing we need to do is we need to create 2 lone workers. So let's 2 people in here. Actually, we'll just create one for me. So title, this is going to be my name. And in person field, we can find me. My pin is going to be simple. My address pin will be just as simple. I'll be off shift. I have a current check-in, so I can leave all of that blank and hit save. Okay, so now I've got a lone worker ready to actually go ahead and use the application. The next thing we want to do is we want to create a Bing map key. So as we noticed before in the application, we are going to show maps on the Power App. So we have to go into Bing Maps. So you go to this this website here, and you can actually register for a new Bing Maps key. So you just give your application name. You don't need to fill anything in the URL because it's not authenticated from a website. Choose the key type that you're interested in. There's only one option, and also the application type. So for now, I'm just using dev and test on mine. So that gives us the access to the Maps API later on. So what I want to do now is actually go ahead and create the actual Power App. So what we can do is we can move over to our PowerApps tab, and we can view our Power Apps. These are Power Apps I've currently got created, and I can go ahead and create a new one. Okay, so when I create a new Power App, it gives me a few options, so a few different data sources that I might want to connect to. For this instance, I want to create a Sharepoint Power App. So first thing it asks me to do is to connect to a Sharepoint site. It suggests previous sites I've had access to, but all I do in here is just put in the URL of my Sharepoint site. I can just copy and paste that. Copy, paste. So now if I click go, this will go off and it will actually find the list on my site. So I want to create my Power App off my check-ins list, so I can connect to that. It goes off and it creates me my default screens. First thing it does is build my app. So what this is going to do from that list, it's just going to create a sample view screen for me, which will show me all of my list items. It will create me a sample create form and a sample edit form, which is quite nice. So straight off the bat, here we go, I've got something here. So if I just click play, then I can see I've got a screen here for check-ins. I can create a new check-in, so I can give a title, longitude, latitude, altitude. It's already put these in. And there's no items in here, so I can't go through to the actual display mode. But there we can see the Power App is actually working at that point. Oops, I think I may have just closed that. So if we go back into it, possibly hasn't saved notes, so let's create that new again. My site URL. Go, my check-ins list, click connect, builds my app. This is a good time to tell a joke. Okay, so now I've got my app. So what I want to do is I probably want to go and save my app so I can give it a name in here. Let's call this Lone Worker VR. We can set various things such as an icon, a description, things like that. For now, I'm just going to go down and save it. So if I click save, and that saves it directly to PowerApps. You may notice that I'm actually building this in the web interface. There is a desktop application as well for building PowerApps, which generally is very good. But as I was putting this video together, I realized just how good the web interface has become for it. So I'm actually building the whole thing within the web interface. So the options now, I've saved it, I can actually share this app, so I can share this with people that I work with, or I can see all previous versions of it as well. So for now, I want to go back into my app, and we want to start making a few changes. So if I just click play. So what I want to do first of all is I actually want to create some connections to my other list. So I'm going to click the View tab and then Data Sources, and I can add a data source to this. It will also automatically connect me back to my list of connections. I can choose my RP-Dev connection, and I can put the URL back into here. Click Go. And now I can pick my check-in types and my loan workers as well. If I was to choose check-ins again here, then it would actually create a duplicate of that data source. So I could use it in another way, but it's just something to be aware of. So now I have a connection to all of my Sharepoint lists. So the first thing we want to do is we actually want to change the edit form. So we want to make the edit form look a little bit neater, so that it looks more like a decent mobile application. Excuse me, I do apologise. I'm getting over this nasty cough cold that everybody is getting at the moment. So if I click onto my edit screen, you can see my edit screen is in here now. So what I want to do is I want to go to my longitude application, and I want to set my default value in here. Oh, see, I have to unlock these controls so I can go in and set it. I want to set the default value here to location dot, oops, location dot, that is the longitude dot, longitude, okay, and then if I go into my latitude, I can see set the default value of this and unlock it. So my default value in here to location isn't working.